Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Oracle Level Up for Developers. I'm Mahesh Thiagarajan, and I lead Security and Developer Platform at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I'm super thrilled to talking to you today about how I think Oracle is giving you the best platform to build intelligent applications so you can drive the right customer outcomes. It is no secret that all applications that are being built today have started infusing intelligence with AI and ML. We'll talk a little bit more about how we're making that simple for you. What are intelligent apps? Intelligent apps, from my perspective, are applications that are leveraging the latest and greatest technologies when it comes to artificial intelligence or machine learning, and also leveraging the tremendous amount of data that is available to drive the right customer outcomes. And they are extremely critical today for most enterprise businesses to compete in a fast-paced economy and make sure that they're using the right amount of data to drive the outcomes. But in order to build intelligent applications, you need the latest technologies, but also really, really fast and quickly so you can drive them faster. But before we talk about what this means, I want to introduce just what I believe are the latest technologies that can help you achieve these business outcomes. First, a flexible infrastructure that meets your scale and price performance needs. Innovative development platform that brings you the latest and the greatest in terms of languages or frameworks or tools so you can focus on building the applications. And three, built-in AI that makes it easy for you to infuse AI into your applications and drive the right business outcome. Now let's talk about each one of them in a little bit depth and what Oracle is doing in this space for you. When I talk about flexible infrastructure, and when we started building OCI, what we wanted to make sure was customers should be able to bring their existing workloads, because a lot of the data that you use today to power your current outcomes are sitting in this existing workload. So we wanted to provide an infrastructure that is easy and supports all of the features that you're used to today. But at the same time, make sure that the infrastructure powers all of your modern applications and intelligent applications as you start driving and building the new ones. But what does that actually mean? It starts with making sure the infrastructure removes and gives you a lot of choices like you were used to on premises. First, clouds initially thought that computers should be a certain amount of cores and memory. And we said, why should that be the case? And we went ahead and built a flexible infrastructure where you can get a plethora of choices when you provision your virtual machines or bare metal servers. Second, we wanted to make sure that your compute instances that you get has the right amount of IOPS and performance on your storage nodes. And we built autonomous capabilities into it so your block storage volumes can auto-tune itself based on the performance needs and scale down to save you costs. Third, we also introduced similar flexible concepts in our networking layer, so we scale out your ingress path or your front ends or your load balancers based on the need of the application at that given point in time. We were the first cloud to introduce the notion of bare metal servers that can be provisioned in a matter of minutes. We also focused on making sure our network that is available to your instances have non-blocking capabilities that guarantees you the performance so you don't have noisy neighbor problems. We also focused on making it easy for you to bring all of your workloads, be it VMware or other rack-style workloads, with L2 network virtualization, which is, once again, another cloud first. But not only that, we also had lots of customers who were running extremely compute-intensive HPC-style workloads who needed the power of the network to be at much lower latencies than what typical Ethernet does. So we were the first cloud to bring RDMA over converged Ethernet directly onto the network, allowing you to plug in hundreds of thousands of nodes and GPUs directly into the network to run these heavily compute-intensive HPC applications. And while we did all along for each one of these core building blocks of the infrastructure, we focused on building security deep into the platform. And that's what I mean by a flexible infrastructure. All right, we have a great infrastructure platform. It's flexible, it saves me money, it saves me time, that's great. But what about my next generation of applications? As we are aware, cloud native development, which involves building services in a more distributed fashion, packaging them on containers, and building them as microservices, is the new standard way. It brings agility, it allows you to ship things faster. As enterprise start adopting it, as Gartner points out, over 75% plus of enterprises are going to be running on containers in 2024. But of course, Kubernetes has become the de facto standard to deploy and operationalize these containerized applications. So let's talk about what are some of the challenges with Kubernetes while this has been true. Operations remains a top challenge with Kubernetes, right? There is a tremendous amount of innovation that has been built over the last, I would say, about 7 years that has continued to drive Kubernetes in the right direction. However, it also is extremely complex. How does that manifest itself for you? Because Kubernetes technology has evolved so much that you have to constantly keep up with the innovation, learn, understand, and train all of your employees to understand how to operate Kubernetes at that level. Second, as your environment scales out, the complexity of managing these environments becomes increasing and can also drive your costs up. Third, when you start running these complex environments, you also have to constantly tune them, you have to operationally maintain them, ensure that your application is running at the same performance and giving you the benefits it needs. And lastly, when you run and break up your applications into small little microservices, you need to have the right security posture and the right governance posture that ensures the applications are talking to each other in the right way and there is nothing malicious that is going on. Overall, day two operations has significantly gotten difficult, and especially for large enterprise customers, it has gotten more expensive. But what if Kubernetes was not that hard? What if we can actually help you make Kubernetes operations at scale simple and easy? And so the way we went about thinking about it is to say, hey, how can we offer a layer of abstraction which fundamentally hides the underlying infrastructure details? How can we simplify and drive more of the autonomous operations, be it scaling, without disrupting your workloads or scaling down? How can we make it easy for you to manage the latest and greatest benefits of add-ons on Kubernetes without you touching it? How can we make it easy for you to run Kubernetes on all possible variations of infrastructure that we actually have, be it bare metal servers or VMs? And lastly, give you a more managed experience around thinking about security in such a complex Kubernetes environment. Wouldn't that be great? And that was our vision with Oracle Container Engine for Kubernetes. It is a managed Kubernetes service by OCI. It is CNCF compliant. It allows you to bring all of your existing experience as is. It allows you to move all of your existing containerized applications directly onto OKE, and it keeps simplifying the deployment and management. But that's not all. Today we're simplifying Kubernetes even further, and what I want to talk about is 3 key announcements today. And my belief is that these announcements not only are going to improve your reliability, it is going to improve your security posture even further than ever before, and lowers your operational costs significantly. And in this economy, kind of driving those numbers down and making Kubernetes simple and cost effective for you is actually going to allow you to focus on the right things, which is to build your app. And what are they? First, we're announcing the notion of virtual nodes capability that is added on top of OKE that makes it easy for you to run serverless Kubernetes. And fundamentally, Oracle will start taking responsibility of managing your worker nodes, so you don't actually have to be in the business of managing the infrastructure, patching, maintenance, updates, all of that. Second, we're bringing the capability to do lifecycle management for all of the add-ons that you will add on top of your Kubernetes application. And this allows you to focus on just installing them. Oracle manages the lifecycle, drives it to the desired state, so you don't have to worry about maintaining the lifecycle of them. And lastly, as you break up your application and put more microservices on top of containers, you have to manage the identity of each one of those microservices and how and who talks to each other. How do I actually give it the right kind of permission and the security posture for each one of those instances? And with workload identity, now we give it capabilities directly on the platform to drive enhanced access control and governance for you. And we're just getting started. So if you look at the choices for simplifying Kubernetes operations on OCI, we have a plethora of choices. Customers can obviously start from do it your own Kubernetes on our bare metal or virtual machines on flexible infrastructure. We support Kubernetes Cluster API for OCI. We have OKE, that is a managed Kubernetes that takes care of the admin plane. We announced today a serverless Kubernetes platform that allows you to also offload the responsibility of the worker nodes. We can also give you direct access to container instances. And obviously, at the long end of the stick, you got functions where you can just literally write your code and give it to us, and we'll run it for you, right? It's a complete flexibility of a compute platform that allows you to run microservices and containerized applications. Obviously, there is more agility that comes with you going right, but for large enterprise customers, in terms of migration, they may want to be on the left. But we're all about giving you choice, but at the same time, lowering costs as you decide how you want to go. We talked about the infrastructure platform. We talked about how, moving up the stack and how we're continuing to lower the amount of effort and time that you have to put to building intelligent apps. But intelligent apps are nothing without the data. It is the lifeblood of anything that you do here. And with more and more data moving into the database and the platform, you have the opportunity to derive more outcomes. But how do you store all of this data? Where do you store all of this data? How can I ensure that the data that I actually have in my data stores are easily accessible with extremely low latency so I can drive the right outcomes for my customer? In many cases, imagine you have lots of volumes of data, but you need to make a customer decision that is in the matter of a couple of seconds when they're looking at something on their mobile app, right? How can you actually store all of this vast amounts of information, access them really, really fast? You need a robust database. And it is no surprise, we have been in the business of data management over the last 4 decades, honing and tuning what it means to actually bring the best database technologies to the world. And we have a slightly differentiated approach in terms of how we think about data for your applications, be it existing workloads or new workloads. And that's a converged database approach that gives you the benefits of all modern data types, JSON, legacy technologies, all of them, and for all kinds of workloads. And in many cases, a converged database approach lowers the latency and improves your customer experience. And we've seen that with a lot of customers at extremely high scale. And not only that, switching the database technology that we have on Oracle, we also introduced Autonomous Database in a very similar fashion, where it takes away all of the pain of managing Oracle database. It is self-tuning, self-driving, and it actually tunes your query plans. All of those advancements come in a simple and an easy way for you to get started. As a developer, you have a plethora of choice to not only drive the right outcome by storing all of the data at scale, but also with very little operations. So for customers who are bringing existing and new applications, they get all of the features that Oracle Database actually has, including the flexible infrastructure support for real application clusters to scale out at a much bigger level. For customers who use Exadata, it's available directly rolled into our data center, completely available like how they run on-prem, and the latest and the greatest technology with Autonomous running right next to this Oracle Exadata. All right, we got Oracle Database, a converged database approach. It's awesome. But what about MySQL? Because lots of applications are built on top of MySQL over the last couple of decades. And it is the most popular open source database, and it's loved by developers. And Oracle is a big steward of the MySQL community, and we have not stopped innovating. In fact, in the last 4 to 5 years, we've actually innovated significantly to bring the converged database approach technologies to MySQL as well. It is a database that now actually supports not only OLTP, but OLAP as well in a single database. It has unmatched price performance, where you can actually get about 6.5x lower cost than Redshift, about 7x faster than Snowflake, and about 1400x faster than Amazon Aurora at about half the cost, right? So from a price performance semantic that I talked about, how it brings value for you, MySQL is actually doing a great job. And lastly, MySQL also has lots of inbuilt ML support that I'll be covering later. And the good news is all of this runs as a service on OCI, so you don't have to worry about running MySQL on your infrastructure. Okay, so we've got a flexible infrastructure platform. We've made it easy for operating Kubernetes. We've given you the data platform with a lot lower operational cost, but allows you to scale. But what about the code that you write? How can we make that even more simpler? And the first part of that story is really trying to give you the best-in-class innovations on language, making sure that the languages that we offer you is open, flexible, and that Oracle takes on a lot of responsibility about security, and ensuring that all of the things that you've learned over the last decade or two, bringing those familiar tools and practices for application development on our infrastructure, and lastly, allowing that to be connected to the data in a very secure fashion. Java, it's no surprise, it is the most popular programming language. Over 80% of the global Fortune enterprises run on Java. There's about 51 billion active JVMs run worldwide. It has been a de facto standard for most customers building microservices and containerized applications as well. And as a sponsor and as a steward of the Java community, we do everything to actually maintain the health of the Java ecosystem, especially our Java OpenJDK. And we continue to drive more innovations, and we drive projects to bring the latest and greatest innovations to the Java language. And I'm going to talk a little bit with you about what are those 3 projects and why we think that's going to continue to move the barrier and bring the innovation and making it easy for you to develop great applications. First, I want to talk about Project Amber. And Project Amber is aimed at improving developer productivity, where we're bringing language improvements to make it easy for you to write less error-prone and more readable, more shareable, more reviewable code. Second, which is Project Loom. You cannot make concurrency even more simpler, but we're continuing to make an attempt at making it easy for you to run threading and Java virtual threads at a much more scalable and efficient way. And this allows you to get more performance and lesser management on managing your heap and memory on your JVMs. And lastly, I talked about our customers demanding more compute and compute-intensive and network-intensive applications and I/O-intensive applications. So what we're doing with Panama is building Java innovations that allows you to natively access these paradigms on the infrastructure to build these applications more effectively. And not only that, we're also the inventors of GraalVM, and it is a high-performance virtual machine that allows you to run applications in multiple programming languages. And it actually has many exciting features that is focused on performance, that is focused on startup time, that is focused on cost of operating it, cost of migrating, things like that. The first feature that I want to talk about is the just-in-time compiler capability that actually exists with Java, with GraalVM. And what it can do is it actually can give you improved performance and faster execution times when you directly move one of your existing applications over. It also has AOT compilers. What it means is if you have an application that has a larger memory footprint and you want to reduce the startup time to not preload, your AOT compilers actually help those applications to come in. And it actually has polyglot capabilities. It's not just focused on Java. It can support JavaScript, Python, Ruby, R, and many more languages. And it also integrates with all of the favorite projects and frameworks that you like around Spring, Maven, and Gradle. And lastly, GraalVM is optimized to run on top of containers. So we have lots of customers who are excited about the GraalVM innovation and moving over here to get the latest and greatest benefits when it comes to running and building containerized apps, but also moving their existing applications over inside GraalVM so to get the optimization. So if you look at what we have, you combine Java with GraalVM and look at the innovations that we have done and the innovations that we are doing for you, it makes it easy for you to build your next generation modern applications even better and even further running on top of Kubernetes and containers. But here's the kicker. OCI is the best platform to run Java-based microservices, and it is actually free to have a Java subscription and leverage GraalVM Enterprise Edition and on OCI. And I don't think most people know about it, but I hope people who are listening or listening to this talk understand why these benefits and these innovations are easy on OCI. I talked a little bit about the language improvements, but I also talked about making it easy for you to get there really, really fast. You have a customer need, you need to make a change, you need to launch an application, and you got a very short amount of time. How do you go about doing that? And I want to introduce you to Oracle Apex. It is one of the most popular open enterprise low-code application platform. And most customers do not realize the power of the Apex platform and some of the latest innovations that we have done on them. The general expectation is that, hey, Apex runs on top of Oracle databases, so it's really hard, or I need to be a PL/SQL expert to actually get started, but not. There's tons of improvements and shared component libraries that have been shipped to make it easy for you to build a web, mobile, front-end app, and it actually has a more declarative programming model that allows you to run your apps. And the great news is, if you're an Oracle database customer, Apex is free. It's easy for you to run, and you don't actually have to buy anything extra. And we have customers who are using the Oracle Apex to build these applications and secure them, and they have shown us how they can go to market 20 times faster than they would have in a traditional way, and with 100 times lesser code. And as I mentioned, it's not just for applications that are so close to the database, but it can run mobile, web, and desktop apps. And the great part about some of the performance characteristics of Apex is it runs right next to the database, so there's zero latency access to the data. And when you think about building applications with a data-centric view and approaching it, you're also designing it right for performance. You're also building it right from a security perspective. And so if you're a developer, it's really, really easy to get started with Oracle Apex low code, and it caters to a bunch of different plethora of developer personas. If you're a citizen developer, you don't know how to write Java code, that's okay. It's easy to get started on Apex. And if you're a professional developer, it's still a scalable platform. And I'll talk about a customer who's running it to use Apex and run on top of them. Here is a great example of how Oracle Autonomous Database and Oracle Apex was leveraged to help in one of the most key situations during a humanity crisis that we had over the last 3 years during COVID. And an application was built in partnership with CDC, where they used Oracle Apex and Oracle Autonomous Database to build a program to evaluate the vaccines for a certain group of the population. And they were able to successfully drive the right outcomes in finding out what needs to change, how do we actually change the vaccine control for select set of groups of people. And from a total usage perspective, it had more than 100 million verified users, probably about 140 million status updates, and at peak, there were more than about 1 million users on the application. So when people think about low-code platforms or running right next to the database, they don't understand the scale that it can actually offer. So I wanted to talk about how fast it was built and how scalable that platform was for such a large customer base. And lastly, I want to touch on the ability for applications to seamlessly integrate to drive, move some of the data and drive the right integrations with other applications. So you may be writing a custom application, but you may want to integrate that with Marketo. You may want to integrate that with another SaaS application that you probably use from an ERP or an HCM perspective, or even Oracle's own HCM and ERP applications to drive the right outcomes. And Oracle's integration services is another simple low-code platform that allows you to move events seamlessly from your applications into all of these SaaS apps and get the desired outcome. So what we walked through on our development platform is a great Java platform, innovations in Graal, continuing to remain open and flexible, support for a lot of the language frameworks, a plethora of developer services that makes it easy for you to get started, and the right integration services for you to move your data. And that's a complete development platform that you can get started with the focus on performance, security, and lowering your barrier to build these apps. And here's a great customer and partner of ours who actually use these technologies for real-time race decisions. They have run Analytics, they've run Monte Carlo simulations on top of our on top of autonomous database and our analytics platforms to, to get the outcome, which is winning the last championship. And they actually use a lot of these simulations and the results for race time decisions as well. And a lot of this was also done at extremely low cost from Oracle Redwood Racing perspective. And the last topic that I want to touch on is about how you can infuse intelligence into your application, right? And I want to talk about how some of the innovations that we are doing and how we think about AI and introducing that at every level makes it easy for you to build these intelligence apps. First, intelligent apps need to be able to use any data and all data that is available to you so you can actually drive the right business outcome. But any and all data could be pretty big and large. So a quick example that we can take is a route optimization app. If you look at the inner circle, the route optimization app may have some direct use of data that it needs to store for its own purposes. That's very structured. You may know exactly how that data should be used, and you've placed that inside. But you may need other semi-structured data that may be flowing from other systems or the third parties that you may integrate with. And you may actually get complete unstructured data like weather forecasts or traffic patterns and things like that. You should be able to use and build an application that brings all of this data at really, really high scale, run it against inferencing models or AI that makes it easy for you to give split-second recommendations to your customers. And we'll talk about how Oracle Cloud Infrastructure enables such complex things to be achieved at every level. And the way we think about is, AI at every level of the platform, being it infrastructure, the data management platform, making it easy for data scientists and developers. We'll go into the details of what I mean by each. First, at the infrastructure level, I briefly introduced you to our RDMA cluster networking, which is the first of its kind in the industry, to bring RoCE at the network level, at the scale. What that does for intelligent applications is if you're training or building models running workloads directly on top of GPUs, you need access to lots of GPUs to train your model. You need those GPUs to be able, and GPUs are expensive. You need those GPUs to run your simulations and take the inference and do the work in exceptionally short amounts of time. Well, what this RDMA cluster networking technology does is it enables you to have inter-node communication between two instances of the computers in less than 2 microseconds. And that is phenomenal speed and pace. And that translates to true cost savings for all customers. And we obviously offer all of the GPU types from NVIDIA directly as bare metal servers and as VMs on our infrastructure, making it easy for you to get the latest and the greatest innovation from NVIDIA directly on the platform. But that's not all. We partner with NVIDIA to bring more of their software stack and their expertise directly on top of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, where NVIDIA is offering their NVIDIA AI Enterprise, AI Workflow Engine as a direct platform on top of OCI. Second, they have done tremendous amount of work in building NVIDIA Rapids, which is nothing but an accelerated Apache Spark data processing engine changes to run your big data processing workloads directly on top of GPUs. And that is going to be directly integrated with OCI Data Flow Service, which is an Apache Spark service. And also, we're continuing to partner in bringing some of their trained inferencing models and technology directly integrating with our healthcare apps as well. On data management, we talked about our strength as a company in data management and decades of experience honing in on having a converged database approach, ability to scale and offer this. But we also now have inbuilt ML capabilities in our database and in our MySQL HeatWave service. Customers can now store their inferencing models directly on the databases, making it easy for them to do inferencing. And if you're a data scientist, you have a plethora of choices to develop an experiment. You have a data science platform that allows you to get started, use your favorite tools, Jupyter, if that's what you're excited by, and start playing around with the data sitting on the data management platform that I just talked about. And it gives you the libraries and frameworks like Anaconda for you to get started. It can actually deeply integrates with pipelines and enables you to manage the life cycle of an entire ML training model on the platform. And lastly, if you're a database developer and you want to just directly interact with the data and you just want to like have a Jupyter session or a runbook that is running right next to the data, that's possible too. And lastly, if you are one of the application developers who's building intelligent apps where you trust and want to infuse AI in an exceptionally short amount of time, you don't have data scientists, you can't get started, but you want to directly do deep customer-focused experiences, you can get started with Oracle's pre-trained AI models available as a service for you. For example, we have lots of customers who leverage our digital assistant service to deeply integrate chat experiences to make their apps more intelligent. We have a similar technology around language, speech, anomaly detection. These things integrated directly with your platform fundamentally lowers your barrier to get started, and it is backed by the training models that Oracle has actually had lots of patents on. And we have a few customers who leverage the benefits of our AI platform at every level, be it Adept. Adept is a powerful AI platform that is enabling ease of use in building applications in like every site and APIs in existence, and they run their entire platform on top of the stack that we talked about. We have healthcare customers like CMRI who use AI to drive and make the world a better place by curing children's cancer with an efficiency of about 30 to 50%. So Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is a complete cloud platform, gives you a plethora of choices when it comes to languages, frameworks, integration services to move your data, a great development platform for you to build the app, a strong data and AI portfolio hinging on our strengths in Oracle Database and MySQL, and bringing ML infused at the database level, and a flexible infrastructure that has the latest and the greatest benefits focused on giving you the right price performance, and observability, which makes it easy for you to run your apps more performance tuned, and lastly, built-in security at every level. So building your applications with Oracle just got a lot easier, and it allows you to go to market really fast and drive stronger business outcomes. Thank you for listening to me today. Please go to those links to try out some of our products and learn more about our technologies. Thank you.